right, it's Christian Miller. The Saints went defensive tackle. Family, the Saints went D tackle with the pick. So, hey, another pick's in. Christian Miller, big defensive tackle from the University of Georgia. What was the last defensive lineman that we got out of Georgia, fam, that we drafted? John Jenkins, Charles Grant. Nonetheless, the Saints went with Christian Miller, your new second-round pick, 42, 6'3", almost 6'4". He's 321 pounds, 33-inch arms. You can see his hand length, wing length. His prospect analysis, Miller is an even front nose tackle who can rattle pads, gain early advantages at the point of attack. He has good stack and shed against single blocks, but lacks the prototypical mass of a space eater. He will lose his anchor to double teams and strong angle blocks at times. He's average at matching lateral movement off the snap, but is generally aware of play design and hustles across gaps to squeeze run lanes. He'll continue to bulk up and should become a good starter who is more consistent than dominant along the interior line. I've been questioning and telling family members about the Saints. And I said, fam, listen, I've been warning people about the Saints interior defensive line position for the longest. That's like, fam, we have two defensive linemen that are on 1-year contracts. Divine Gacho looked horrible last year. Nate Shepard did well. Both of those guys on 1-year deals. After this is over with, Christian Boyd's in the last year of his deal. We signed John Ridgway to a 2-year deal. I'm thinking of some other guy, but who y'all know what I'm talking about, who just got his option right here. So, but the reality of the situation is the Saints felt this is a need to address it damn near at the top of the second round with Christian Miller. Wow. Let me give y'all this game too. Let me share this one with y'all too. Christian Miller, Saints feeling good. 6'4", 321-pound Georgia, plays with power and strength as a run defender at the point of attack, shows good balance and core strength, allowing him to stay square, control blocks, heavy hands, but is more effective working vertically and pushing the pocket than when attacking the angles. On film, he shows the footwork and skill to work off stunts and twists, though he has the tools to be disruptive. It could play more violently, specifically against double teams. His pro comp is Kenny Clark, which actually is pretty good. So, I mean, Kenny Clark is a solid defensive lineman and been one for a while. And look, they got the little draft profile here. Let me see if I can get it to play. But nah, it's not working. But anyway, the reality is how the situation is. The Saints used the second round pick on a D tackle. Wow. That's up next. How y'all feel about this pick? No edge rusher. The Saints just go with a defensive tackle. What y'all think about this pick? This was a surprise. I guess it wasn't a surprise, but I was warning people, that the Saints, from an interior defensive line standpoint, we got a lot of guys kind of shaky in there. And the Saints addressed it with the second round pick. I guess he had it as a high priority coming into the rest of coming into the season. But getting him there, man, like I said, Divine Gacho and Nate Shepard, 1-year deals. Christian Boyd's on the final year of his rookie deal. We know Vernon Brockton's going to play on that edge, that left end position. Brian Brissy will play the opposite end. And you have a chunky space eater. Like this guy is going to be Christian Miller. Here it is right. Here's a little bit of it right here. We'll listen to a little bit of it from Christian Miller. Here we go.
Yeah, you got to be. You don't got no choice. Let's go.
Y'all put one in the chat if you can hear it.
Yeah, well, I mean, how much have you talked to this team, thought about this team, and how do you like it?
Man, to be real with y'all, I talked to the Saints at the Combine. We had a great interview. They challenged me a lot. Very challenging. Stood on 10. I love that they challenged me. It kind of felt like Georgia being in that room. They were on the same defense like Georgia, so it's a no-brainer. Day one, easy learn, easy cleanup, and we really talked the whole time. We barely talked. That's why I was just like, it was a happy surprise. I'm like, dang, I'm going to the Saints. Let's go.
Christian, during the draft process, you said that running through somebody's face was your favorite part of the pass rush. What else do you like when it comes to your style of play on the interior?
Man, I just like being a Swiss Army knife. I feel like anything my coach tell me to do, I can do it. From being dominant, from being dominant in the inside at nose, from being dominant at the 3 tech position, dominant at 4-eye, dominant at 5. I can just do everything. And I think I just bring that versatility to the game and just my mindset. I think my mindset is just second to none. I think I got the best mindset in the class in terms of just like I want to run through somebody's face. I seek physicality. I want physicality. And that's just what I was taught. That's how I always been. And that's what I'm on. That's what I live by.
Christian, you've been down here for the Sugar Bowl. What's your thoughts on the city and the fan base down here?
Man, I love the city. I love them glazed beignets. I gotta stay away from them though. I gotta stay away from them. I'm gonna kind of just portion that out a little bit. But I love the city of New Orleans, man. It's a city of camaraderie. I think the whole city come together. I was just telling one of my homeboys a couple weeks ago. I said, man, next year I cannot miss Mardi Gras. And guess what? I'm gonna be down there, so it's perfect. I'm gonna be right there in the building. But it's just the culture down there. It's special. It's not like nobody else. What they building is special down there with the Saints, and I get to play against some dogs in that conference, and I get to play with Brian Brzee. So I'm excited.
What stands out to you about Brian?
Man, he a dog. I've been watching Brian since high school. Like, when I say since high school, throwing kids around in them highlight videos that was going viral every week, just like he a dog. His mindset, he's just relentless. And I think us two together, it's going to be a movie. I'll tell you. I ain't going to do too much talk about that, but it's going to be a movie. So,
Christian, what's your day been like here leading up to this? And where you at? Were you celebrating with it?
Say it again, sir.
What's your day been like leading up to this?
Man, my day been a blessing. I woke up this morning, had a good breakfast. I went to go work out. Went to the mall, had to get some more little tweak ups for my fit. And came back now with the family. We having a good time. We turned up. I can't complain.
You said the Saints challenge you. How do they challenge you?
They just want to see where my mind was at. I think the Saints is they're big on mentality, and I think that's why I'm here. No thanks. I know that's why I'm here. Mentality. I think they want to see where my mentality was at. They want to see can I withstand hard conversations? Can I withstand hard topics? Can I take hard coaching in that meeting room? I think I stood on business, and I think that's just who I am as a person. I want to be coached hard. I want to learn. I seek learning. I think that's just what I bring to the table, and I think that's what they value. That they value me at.
Man, Christian Miller, man, welcome to the Saints, bro. Shout out to that young man. Christian Miller, welcome to the Saints, man. The Commanders made their selections, man. Of course, we see, and the Saints picked up theirs. They got a tight end out of the unit, so they went back-to-back Georgia. The Saints drafted tight end Oscar Delp with the pick, 6'5", 245, tight end from the University of Georgia. Back-to-back Georgia picks for the New Orleans Saints. They get Oscar Delp, the big, and the Saints were looking at Delp as a tight end that they were interested in. We knew at some point they would have to address the tight end position. I think there might have been a bigger need for us to kind of go after, but the Saints made a move and they picked up a tight end. His name is Oscar Delp, 6'5", 250. Delp has experience working from different alignments, including as an inline player, as a receiver. He's mainly a short to intermediate target, but flashes enough speed to threaten the team vertically or the seam vertically. Delp displays good hands and body control to adjust to passes outside his frame. He can be effective with the proper hand placement and a good base as a blocker. However, he needs to add more mass and strength to improve in that department. Overall, Delp doesn't excel in any one aspect, but could be a well-rounded depth player in the NFL. So the Saints go back-to-back Georgia picks, getting defensive tackle Christian Miller with the second-round pick and tight end Oscar Delp from the Georgia Bulldogs. So what do you guys think about that back-to-back Georgia selections? Saints grabbing a hold of another Georgia player who is Delp, unless they're doing a lot of three tight end for the Saints, it'll be fine. You'll see him in lineups and rotations with the Saints. The player bio is as follows: played in 13 games as a reserve for the national champions, caught 5 passes, 61 yards, averaged 12 yards per catch with a touchdown. Delp is a fluid prospect with 3 down potential and untapped upside as a pass catcher. His strengths are good forward lean, early acceleration into his routes, short area quickness with the ability to uncover on outs, stop routes and crossers, pure speed to beat linebackers, with proper bend and lift technique. His weaknesses are short arms leads to challenges, rescuing off-frame throws, inconsistent finishing catches through heavy contact, average elusiveness to add yards after the catch, needs to get stronger in his upper body for blocking duty, and grabs a year when he really intensity to be something special for the Saints. So Oscar Delp is your 3rd round pick. Who Dat Nation, man. So we give him a round of applause. The poll is in the chat. Oscar Delp is a New Orleans Saint, man. He's picked up with pick number 9 in the 3rd round to go along with our other pick, Christian Miller. So there you go with that, fam. So this is interesting all at the same time, isn't it? Very interesting moves that the black and gold are now doing. Also, let me give y'all right now while we waiting for some of these picks to fall. Let me give you a little of the Oscar Delp spoke to the media. Let me get that tuned up for the family members so we can hear from Oscar Delp.
Man, it's been a roller coaster. Got a lot of family, a lot of friends here, but I'm so blessed and so excited. Can't wait to get there. Got some of my close family, my aunt and my uncle are from Louisiana, so I've been up there a good bit. So I'm just really excited to get down there and can't wait to get to work.
I know you've been here for games, but how much time have you spent in New Orleans?
Not much, really, just for the 2 Sugar Bowls I've been to, and both times I've left saying next time I'm here. I was telling Coach next time I'm here, the whole process I'm winning, so I'm excited.
How did those conversations go meeting with Saint staff?
They were great. It was actually pretty funny during the combine interview process. I had a formal interview with them, and the time on my schedule was different than theirs. So I was waiting around and they called me and I thought I was late, but it was just miscommunication. So I was freaking out going there. Luckily I was right outside the room though. But it was a great meeting. I really enjoyed everyone there. They were awesome. And, I really enjoyed it.
Hey, what part of Louisiana is the family from?
I'll ask them a little bit, but I couldn't exactly tell you, but I know they're probably about an hour and a half from New Orleans.
Oscar, do you feel like you have some untapped skills or untapped production that you want to see come to fruition?
For sure. I think that, I'm a dude that can do it all. And that's why I'm so excited to play here. Whether it's special teams, anywhere on offense, I'm a dude that can bring anything to the table. And I think I've shown that over the past couple of years. And I'm just excited to, play and win some games.
Oscar, we talked to Christian. Did you talk to Christian about you being selected as well?
And that was the first call I answered right after. Answered his FaceTime. It was awesome. Love that dude. I've known Chris since 8th grade. And it's crazy just seeing it all come to life and the stuff we've talked about and joked about. And we've probably been out there during the Super Bowl week saying, we're both going to end up in New Orleans. That's just joking around. And, to be able to go there with him and go through this process with him, I wouldn't want to do it with anyone else.
Talk to Christian, playing for Kirby and playing in the SEC. How did that prepare you for this?
Coach Smart, it's a pro program. That's just how it is. You talk to those dudes that leave and they leave prepared, they leave ready. And just the way that he prepares us and, gets you ready for the next level. That's why I went to Georgia. I knew I was going to get developed and I knew I was going to play against the best. And you can see all the dudes on our team every day, year in, year out. And, it just sets you up for success.
You know anything about Tyler Shuck? Watch any videos, do any research since you did talk to the Saints?
Oh yeah. I've been watching him since last year. He's a baller. He was one of the first people that texted me. Super excited to be able to play with him. He's an elite quarterback and, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oscar, what do you like about the tight end position played at a high level, with it since high school?
Just being able to do it all. Tight ends, I feel like are the biggest mismatches on the field. Every team that's elite has an elite tight end. And, when you got a good one, you can almost revolve the offense around them and do crazy things. And just to be able to be in a position where I can flex out and run routes and then put my hand in the dirt and block on the offensive line is, there's nothing better than that. So it's my favorite position. I think it's one of the best positions you can play.
How do you think your background in lacrosse helped you for football and finding that translated there?
I think just, the change of direction. I feel like I'm a very athletic guy and just being able to do that and growing up playing a physical, fast sport, like toughness is one of the biggest things. There's not many sports where you can just run around up and down the field and whack people with metal sticks. So it's a ton of fun growing up playing that.
Was there a tight end growing up that you watched that you kind of modeled your style after?
There's been a bunch of them. Greg Olson was a dude I loved watching growing up. Tony Gonzalez just growing up in Georgia. But, I really just like to look at all these tight ends everywhere and just model all their games. I think right now there's a lot of great dudes in the league. Watching Kelsey, obviously, and, being able to play next to Bowers, like just dudes like that are just now trending is awesome.
You talked a little bit about having, untapped potential with the tight end position and your time in the tight end position. What did you learn about and what do you like about the way that the Saints utilize tight ends?
It's an explosive offense. I think the Saints, do it better than, a lot of teams in the NFL, just being able to move those guys all around and, having a dude like Juwan Johnson out there running around and just, ballers. So I think it's an amazing offense to be a part of. I can't wait to get there and get to work and, show these coaches and the teammates what I can do and earn their trust.
I saw where, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Cumming is like a suburb of Atlanta, right?
Yes, sir.
Were you a Falcons fan and maybe kind of realize that that part of your life may be over now?
I mean, to be honest, I was never really a Falcons fan. Growing up in Georgia, like I was a college football fan. It's weird, you know. Down here, it's not like that where people grow up diehard Falcons fans. You're a Georgia Bulldog fan growing up down here. So I grew up watching college football. Obviously, I watched the Falcons here and there, but you know, I was never losing sleep over them.
Yeah, Oscar, how would you kind of describe your mentality as a blocker? So you kind of just described as like the playing a lot of Y in that offense there. Like what's your approach in that area of your game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the most important thing you can do as a tight end is be able to block and bring that to your game. I love just being able to dominate another man. And in a successful offense, you have a tight end that can usually dominate the perimeter and own the C gap. So I take pride in it and I enjoy it.
You said you've known Christian since 8th grade. How did y'all cross paths prior to Georgia?
And just camps everywhere. In high school, we went to some camps together and played in the All-American Bowl together. And he's always been a character. You know, everyone in Georgia always plays against each other at some point and crosses paths at some point. So it's been awesome. And, you know, we've been very close friends ever since he got to Georgia.
What was your best memories in the Sugar Bowl? Y'all spent some time here. Did you get a chance to kind of experience the city a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, be out, just walking around. Like, I guess since it's a big bowl game, there are a lot of Georgia fans everywhere there, but the streets were always alive. Fans so passionate. Even though it's a Georgia game, like you still see all the Saints fans everywhere and everyone was walking around. Trevor Etienne's a good buddy of mine who's from there, and he was kind of showing me around everything and all the food, and I'm excited to eat some of that food down there. So it's going to be a great place.
You know anything about Jordan Tyson?
Oh, yeah, I do. It's a baller. Trained out there with him in Arizona for the past couple months, and, you know, he's a baller, great dude to be around, great kid, super funny, super awesome. I've only got to hang out with him for a couple months, but I feel like we got a bond already.
All right, so that's Oscar Delp, man. That's your new tight end, Oscar Delp. What do you guys think about Oscar, man? He said he's not an Atlanta Falcon guy, man. How about that? He said, "Oh, you're a Georgia guy. You ain't an Atlanta Falcon guy." So I think that's funny, man. Let's give him a round of applause. Welcome to New Orleans, man. Good answer. Good answer. And this started yesterday for the black and gold. Jordan Tyson for the Saints at 8 yesterday, 6'2", 203, 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds. A physical wide receiver with speed. There was some injury concerns. He's healthy right now, past it, and he's very excited to come into it. I remember me and DC was talking about this today, and he mentioned what Steve Smith said about him not knowing how to fall. That's something that he'll learn in the pro game. We got a really good wide receivers coach that should be able to teach up Jordan Tyson. And to be honest with you, this is a player, has big play capabilities, man. Matching them up with Chris Olave, perfect complement. We still have Devon Valley to go along with it, Jalen Polk, and others, making it the deepest room we have. Very excited about our wide receivers coming into this year. And of course, the second round pick this day, Christian Miller. It's kind of surprised a few of the Who Dat family members. Christian Miller, 6'3", 320 plus pound defensive tackle, nose tackle. Big pickup for the team today. In the post-draft analysis, was a clear need for the Saints. Miller was the best remaining interior defender. He was fantastic anchor ability, which has been missing in New Orleans, and Miller could be the interior lineman the Saints can build around. Right now, it's Chase Curl on the edge with Brian Bresee, Nathan Shepard in the middle. So addressing the defensive line was a massive need. Miller was the top defensive tackle available. There's a big drop-off coming at the position. So New Orleans was smart to get him now. So having a big, tough nose tackle to occupy next to Brian Bresee, that is going to be interesting going forward. We still have Vernon Brockton, his youth, to see what he can do. So we'll see how it all shakes and works out for the Saints, man, going forward and picking up. So we had him, Christian Miller, very excited to be with the Saints. And then, of course, we heard from Oscar Delp. I just played Oscar Delp's interview as we wait for Kellen Moore. And speaking of which, Kellen Moore is about to jump on the mic. Let's hear what Kellen Moore has to say about his draft class. Put one in the chat if y'all can hear, fam. Here we go.
Good. Double check. There we go. Like there's some space over here.
All right, guys. We got 2 Georgia Bulldogs today, so quite the coincidence there. Turned out pretty well for us. Obviously, I'll just start with some highlights. Drafting Christian in the second round. 4-year player at Georgia, 2-year starter. As we went through this process, we had a formal interview with him at the Combine. Peter Sermon actually worked him out at Georgia. Funny story there. Bo was supposed to go, but the TSA issues at the airport kind of created a little bit of an issue there. So Peter happened to be somewhere else close by, and he hopped in the car and drove over there and worked him out. And so it all worked out. But great player. Love his energy, love his juice. I think you guys already sensed that and kind of his media obligations so far. His versatility and his play style is going to be really good for us. And so great move there. And then Oscar Delp in the third round. We had a formal interview with Oscar at the Combine. He kind of shared, I think, a little bit of that. Josh Hill went and worked him out. And so we got exposure to both these guys, felt really comfortable with that through this whole process. He's a multi-spot guy. He's played a lot of different positions in his career there. He's played with some other tight ends, so he knows how to kind of play that, multi-tight end type role. And, that was a great opportunity for us. Obviously, for him to still be available in the third round was a nice luxury for us. And so 2 really good players to add to this thing, and we'll just keep going tomorrow. So
in line so long he missed his flight.
We just had issues with kind of logistics and travel and all that sort of stuff. That was that Sunday, Monday. A lot of guys had issues with airports with TSA issues, and so a lot of our coaches. There's a lot of funny stories associated with. A lot of our coaches ended up shifting gears and covering other people, and some people hopped in cars and just started driving really far away, and just to connect with these guys. So it was fun.
Was it these 2 guys kind of in a bullpen, if you will, at those rounds, or did they kind of surprise you when they were there?
Well, yeah, I think we felt great about both of these guys. Obviously, you're only going to get to pick one of them in the second round. Felt great about Christian. We're hoping, he was certainly in that clump of guys we're hoping was going to be available for us in this situation. And then, as the third round progressed, having Oscar still available, I think that was certainly a great opportunity for us just to add to that group. Again, we feel great about our tight ends, and now we get to add him into that position. And people know the way, this league's trending with the ability to play in multiple tight end sets, and that's a valuable asset. And so, there's nothing wrong with having a few of those guys that you can play with.
When you have a guy like Delp who is utilized in sort of a hyper-specific way at Georgia, what are some of the traits that you were looking for to identify how he might fit differently if used differently in your system?
Yeah. I think he's got a number of things that will come to the table. Obviously, we recognize the athleticism that he provides. He does a great job out in space. He's got some juice, some speed, vertical speed. I think he's a very willing, physical run player. I think that's an important aspect. Certainly, we know, with Juwan and Noah and the other guys that we have, like we got some guys who can make some play with the ball in their hands. And so, these guys are going to have to do some dirty work, and he's ready for that. And I think one of the things that he maybe hasn't done as much, but he'll certainly be ready to do, and I think he'll embrace just the special teams component of that. I think he's got every trait you could possibly think of to be a really good special teams player. And so I'm excited to see him develop there.
Is he someone like when you watch him and then you look at the numbers, like to me, it just kind of like he looks different than he does on paper? Like, is that a fair assessment maybe of like his receiving ability, that there's more there than maybe 200 yards a season or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's a byproduct sometimes of, Georgia has a phenomenal formula of playing really successful football. And, you can look at it with a lot of their offensive players, the receiver room, the tight end room. There's just not going to be as many pass catching opportunities in their seasons. And so they do an excellent job of, controlling games. They have, one of the best defenses every single year in college football. And so he played with some other guys early in his career. And so, he's kind of had this, 20 in the 20s, let's call it, catches per season. But, he does a lot of other pieces, I think, that all add to the sum of a really good player. And so, he's got plenty of really good football, some of his best football moving forward.
Do you think he has like real two-way ability to kind of really solve both ends?
In the run and pass?
Yeah,
absolutely. I think, he's got some really good versatility. I think, the way they, played him, obviously he played a little bit more of like an off the ball tight end in a wing alignment a lot of times. He'll be able to play potentially in the backfield on the line of scrimmage and off the ball. And so, I think what we're getting is a really smart player. I think he's really, he'll be able to handle some volume. And I think he'll allow us to play the chess piece game when, you have Juwan and you have Noah and you have these other tight ends that you want to kind of put in certain positions, he'll be able to kind of counteract with those guys.
Is Josh Hill the right comp for him?
That's a great. We should throw Josh up in the interview process and let's ask him. But Josh felt great about him. Chase, Josh, those guys were fired up. I think our coaching staff really had a really good vision for how this guy could play with those other tight ends. And again, the value of playing in multiple tight end positions is valuable. You can see the teams that made runs this year, and a lot of them are playing in 12 and 13 personnel. And we think there's still the pass game juice that these guys provide because of what those guys have in the pass game. I think it's going to be a benefit. These guys aren't a bunch of just big Y's. They're just going to block in. When we get in 13 personnel, it's kind of a ding ding. I think we can do a lot of things with those guys.
Do Christian and Vernon complement each other, or will they compete for one of the same spots?
No, they can play. They can certainly play on the field at the same time. I think one of the things that Christian has done is he's played a number of spots across the front, and I think that versatility is going to provide you with some fun chess piece games. He's certainly played plenty of nose. He'll play the shade. He'll work his way out all the way out to 5 technique and some 3-4 structures, and so he's going to provide some really good versatility. And that group, it's great to add one to that piece. Defense linemen are hard to find in this league, and he's a talented one.
Outside of that versatility, did that character, just his attitude, kind of also a great selling point of why you went to the draft?
Yeah, we had a fun interview process with him, and you get a little dose of who he is, and so we're fired up to have him here. I know, like all these guys, there's a ton of hard work moving forward. You got to get acclimated from college to the NFL. I think coming from a Georgia is a really beneficial thing for both of these guys. They're as prepared as anyone you can imagine, but there'll be a transition. But I think he's ready to work his tail off and get ready to go.
Now, both of these players, very physical. They talked about it in the media availability, and even the wide receiver Tyson yesterday loves to block.
Yeah,
is that the number one trait you wanted this draft?
I think it's an important trait. You got to run the football on offense. We got to stop the run on defense. That leads to so many things. But this game's a physical game. And so no matter what position you're playing, we went through with Jordan yesterday, receivers got to be physical. They got to be physical in the run game. They got to be physical in the pass game. These corners are going to press you in this league. They're not going to play off like college football maybe tends to. And then when you get, interior D-line, tight ends, they're going to play some dirty work. I mean, there's nothing easy about those job responsibilities in this league. And so I think we got really high character guys that are going to do it.
I would say that kind of generally you're looking for guys who can help you in multiple different ways. Jordan being able to play all 3 positions, and Oscar being pass catcher, blocker, kind of person.
I think that's key. I think our rosters have a certain size to them, and I think it's important that you have guys who can provide multiple opportunities to help the football team. And so we feel like all 3 of these guys will have the versatility that they need, and they'll provide a really good role for them.
We don't get 2 guys that are teammates in college like this, and like a couple times last year as well. Do you, just during the pre-draft process, do you talk to them about one another? Do you ever check in? Do you utilize that at all?
Sometimes during the draft process, we like to ask and prompt the questions of Jeff always does a great job of this is, if you're coming to our organization, who's the culture player that you want to bring, and then sometimes who's the best player that you want to bring. And sometimes it prompts us, ideas. And sometimes maybe we ask, who's the best player you played against? And so I think anytime you get to collect those different questions, get the answers to them, you collect as much information as you can. But, certainly having guys who have a relationship that kind of know each other, certainly, Tyler and Quincy last year, and we've seen that throughout this thing. There's benefits to that.
Did Oscar or Christian mention one another?
I don't recall. I'll have to look back through our notes.
Kellen, before you got here, this team didn't used to make all this draft picks. The trade up history is elite. Has there been a conscious effort because of the state of this roster to try and lead with as many picks as you entered these drafts with, or have there been a lot of?
I think there's plenty of conversations about moving up constantly. I think it's just a matter of, finding the right value and right situation. And, hey, we've done that. Certainly we've had conversations even today about that. But we understand we got great opportunities to add to this team. And, certainly when you look at it from this perspective, as many opportunities and swings as you can get, that's a positive thing. And for us, we feel like, we're still getting really talented players who are certainly going to help our team.
Was value kind of maybe one of the reasons why you guys didn't take an edge rusher today or anything like that? Or did you kind of go?
Well, I think there's plenty of conversations, and still certainly we have another whole day of this. You build a board and you trust your board and you have plenty of conversations as you go, and certainly there's conversations and you got to make decisions. There's guys that we love. I think that's the hardest part of this draft is we invest so much time into this process. We kind of fall in love with a lot of these players, and then you only get to, you got to pick one in each, situation, and you got to go, and you're going to miss out on a few other opportunities.
How much are you guys also weighing that, it's all the players that are still available, but also some of the veterans that could be available on the trade market or in the second wave of free agency after the draft? How are you going to weigh all those things?
Yeah, I mean, player acquisition's year-round process. We're going to have obviously an opportunity to sign guys here, hopefully sign some guys who maybe don't get drafted. And then there's plenty of veterans out there that you're going to have continued conversations with. And so it goes all the way, all the way through training camp and into the season. We know how these things go. And while this is a very, very important part of building our roster and building our team, it's, certainly very well recognized. There's a lot of other opportunities to keep going.
Was back-to-back Georgia influencing your time in Philly at all?
No, but yeah, certainly Howie's done it a few times. So
what do you see as the potential benefits of having two skilled players in the passing game coming in on the heels of a young quarterback establishing himself as a starter and then kind of going through this together?
Yeah, I think certainly we're trying to build a group that hopefully, has some continuity and works together for a number of years. And so, certainly when you look at what Jordan's hopefully going to provide for us, the connection with him and Tyler, and, I think, Oscar is just turned into a great situation. We feel great about our tight end room, to add Noah during the offseason process, to now get Oscar on board, and to have a number of other guys that we were able to, keep on our roster. We're in a really healthy spot. And, I think the more those guys spend time together and work through this entire OTA process into the summer program, into training camp, there's a lot of time that needs to be invested into this, but, we got the right kind of guys to kind of, work together on that.
I know you mentioned Kristen's versatility.
Yeah.
Does, I guess when you're first installing, does he project as a guy playing the same position as Godchaw actually, or is that just something he'll do on occasion?
Yeah, I think it's about giving guys kind of a home base to start, and then we just got to get out on the field with these guys. We got to let them go, and we'll make those adjustments as we go. But what we feel like is we're bringing a really, really talented player, a really good person for our locker room into a group that will provide some depth. Certainly, it's hard to acquire big guys, and so we'll add them to that mix, and we'll kind of see how it goes.
Do you think the acquisitions that you guys made, like in free agency and the first few picks on offense, allowed you guys to be maybe a little bit more versatile than you guys were last year in terms of personnel package? If you wanted to play more 12 or 11, or just be a little bit more fluid there? How do you see that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think we do feel like we have a lot of guys who, hey, they got a lot of versatility. They're really smart football players. More time together through this whole process, and so all that stuff will build.
Kristen seemed pretty excited about the idea of lining up next to Brian Brzee. What is kind of assessment of how those two can complement one another?
Yeah, I think we're adding them to a group that has a nice mix. There's some veterans in there, Shep, Godchaw, but then some young guys, and so we're going to need a number of those guys. We're going to need a number of them to play. You play in 3-4 structures. We're going to play with 3 in base, but there's going to be plenty of sub packages that you got to be able to utilize to stop the run, to play in passing situations, and so the depth is going to be important there.
High character and team captains and guys with high character. You put a lot of importance on that as far as reading the players.
Yeah, no question. I think we spend just as much time. We can all watch the film and figure out the player usually, and kind of put them in a category of some kind, but we got to get to know the people. This is a tough, hard business. This is the NFL. There's nothing easy about it. The players individually are going to go through highs and lows. We're going to go through highs and lows collectively as a team, and so we need the right kind of guys to do that.
Was the with Peter driving to Georgia, was that for Georgia's cardio or an individual workout just with?
It was a private workout, yeah.
And Kellen, what are those moments like for you when you look at that phone call to those players, like how Christian reacted to that?
Yeah.
What's that like for you?
They're special. For these guys, all these guys have had such a, amazing one of a kind ride to get to the position that they're in. There's highs, there's lows, and they get, most often they get to be surrounded by the people who help them get there the most. And so those are really special moments. It's really, really cool. It's one of the best moments I think in the NFL is when you get to hear those conversations and hear them celebrate. And because, hey, these guys have earned it. Now there's a ton of work ahead. It's going to be even harder than what they've gone through, but it's a cool moment for those guys.
Kellen, can you share with us, talk a little bit about the shirts you're wearing, autism awareness, special for the organization for special needs kids?
Yeah, I think it's just awesome awareness. I think, for our organization, I've been here for 2 years, but I know they've done it longer than this, just taking advantage of the opportunity and the platform that, the NFL draft provides. And so drawing awareness to it. I know, Kai and Jeff and Mickey and those guys have put so much effort into this and drawn attention to it. And I think it's really cool. Our entire war room was, all wearing these, and it was a lot of fun.
Everything is good on Delp's health. I know you had to skip all the combine drills, but you ended up working out at the pro days. So
yeah, we went through the medical process. Obviously, we feel comfortable.
Is Vernon? Oh, wait. Christian's pick wasn't related to Vernon's health at all, right?
Vernon's working. Vernon's working. Yeah, he's been doing great. All good.
Thanks,
all right, thanks, guys.
Fletcher shows up and
could be interesting. The 3 tight end look that gives the Saints offense flair. It gives it versatility. Taysom Hill's not coming back. Alvin Kamara, and like I said, the Saints just look at it overall. And let me see if they updated our depth chart on there. Just look at it overall of what they're building, man. From just not the draft, but look at it in confab with the free agency of what the Saints are attempting to build. Yeah, they look like they added some of these guys on. Here go before we get out of here. Look at the depth chart, the unofficial depth chart right here. It gives you a good look of this stuff. Thank you, Jaden. All right, let me kind of get that there. All right, so this is the Saints unofficial depth chart. You can see the starters on the far left row. Tyler Shuck is there. Travis A-Chain Jr. is new RB1. This is just going to be a special offense no matter how you cut it. You got Tyler Shucks, 9 starts, nets him 2,300. That's what I be saying about Tyler Shuck. Man did that crap in 9 starts. He had 2,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, 6 picks, 48.8 on the QBR. He had almost 68% completion percentage, 327 attempts. He also ran 45 times, had 3 rushing touchdowns, averaged over 4 yards a carry as a running back. When you have a scrambling dual threat guy like Tyler Shuck, you always are going to be a offense that's listed among the best in terms of the rushing attack. And then the Saints didn't settle on just having Alvin Kamara in his final year. They went and got one of the top running backs of free agency. They got a young running back to go along with with Tyler Shuck and Travis A-Chain Jr., who had 1,100-yard rush campaign last year for the Jags, had 7 rushing touchdowns, averaged over 4 yards a carry, and caught 36 catches and 6 receiving touchdowns. So he ran for 7 touchdowns, caught 6 of them. He averaged 8 yards per catch, which the guy is a phenomenal back. Speed, showed power, versatility. Travis A-Chain will be a explosive option for the Saints running attack. And he's RB1. RB2 is the old classic. Alvin Kamara in the final year of his deal. He fits perfectly in that RB2 role. He had to take that pay cut. But nonetheless, he comes in here and he will give you that value. He's still a menacing talent for you. He had 33 catches last year, averaged over 5 yards per catch. No receiving touchdowns last year. Tough sledding against that Saints offensive line. But they made it a priority this upcoming season. Then you look at the running backs. We talked about them. They made the addition of Ty Chandler. This was another guy a lot of people don't talk about. Consider him like a special team / third down option. This is a scat back type guy who did a lot of positive stuff. I know when he played the Saints, he tore the Saints up when they played him because he's so fast. He can catch the ball out the backfield. Ty Chandler was a good weapon. So you can see it's a streamlined offense, speed predicated and built on speed that Kellen Moore is building. Chris Olave had his best year. He's sitting on that $15 million option. They're working on a long-term deal. Hopefully they get it done sooner than later. And then they had added some weapon along with him in Jordan Tyson, 6'2", 6'3", 200-pound explosive wide receivers. He's healthy. Jordan Tyson is a beast, catches a range of different play. He's just, and then excitable. You see his personality is infectious. You know, he's one of these players that has that just awesome energy around him, and he just will wake up the Saints offense and fits well with the likes of Chris Olave. He's also another positive-minded wide receiver. And then he is big, and then you get the bigger wide receiver in Divine Bailey, who had was on to his way. Now it took a while for him to see the field, but when he got on the field, he made several really awesome catches, touchdown, toe tapping. Divine Bailey showed a mixture of things. He got hurt, had 25 catches, almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he averaged 12 yards a catch when he was in there. And he will complement well the big physical. Remember, this guy can run too. Divine Bailey has this. He got a really good 40 time, and all of our wide receivers can run. They got good 40 times. Our running back got a good 40 times. So his speed is, as you can see, was an indication. Juwan Johnson coming off his best year, 77 catches, 889 yards. This man would have had 80 plus catches this year. He dropped quite a few of them. He would have had at least 5-6 touchdowns. He dropped a couple of them. But nonetheless, he played big in some moments in the back end of the season. Hope he can kind of carry that back into the season into the start of this upcoming season, keep that momentum. 77 catches, almost 900 yards, 3 touchdowns, 11 and a half yards per catch. He really turned it on for the Saints offense as a security blanket for Tyler Shuck. And then, of course, they added this character, Noah Fant, to the team. He had 34 catches, almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 8.5 on the average, 6'4", 250. Saints was trying to get him the year before. He ultimately went to somebody else, went to the Bengals. Saints catch him on the 2-year deal, bring him back as the backup for Juwan Johnson and 3 tight end set. You can see Oscar Delp placed right here as the third tight end. Like I said, 6'5", 245. Third tight end for those 3 tight end packages. It's going to be fun watching it. So that's just the skill set players, family. You see how all of the moves sync together. We're not even done yet. Getting Tyler Shuck weapons. Travis A-Chain is here, and Ty Chandler. These are 2 speedsters that really help float the offense. Chris Olave, you know, it's not the focal point, not so far as Saints concerned, but both defenses would latch on to Chris Olave. Now they have to worry about somebody else. That allows Chris Olave to free up. You can really, despite the fact that didn't really have a solid complement for the full summation of the season. Now he has a perfect complement now. They're going to pay him his money and then draft a complement player to make his life easier. So you can see it all starts to flow together with the additions in free agency, the additions in the draft. And it's all about giving Tyler Shuck all of the weapons that he needs to succeed. And then you go to the offensive line. We got Kelvin Banks last year in the first round. Prior to that, Tali Fuaga. Our bookends are in place, right? We get David Edwards, the big left guard, the best guard in the free agency cycle, signs with the Saints right out the gate in the first couple of days of free agency to fill an obvious hole at the left guard position. The Saints didn't read up with Dylan Reduce on the 2-year deal, bringing him in to help him out as a veteran blocker. Will Sherman is still under contract, did a really good job behind Cesar Ruiz, who's healthy. Eric McCoy coming back from injury. Torrey Simpic is more than likely will be a potential backup at McCoy. We'll see who they draft in day 3. Asim Richards is a player we brought in the trade last year who did really well in reserve time when Tali went out. So we do have some components. And of course, you see the Saints need to kind of draft the center. They need another tackle prospect and perhaps, another, they got guards, but, maybe a tweener guy that's a tackle / guard, a guard that could play the center / guard position. They cross-train a few of these guys. We'll see. And then, of course, you cross over to the defense. You see Vernon Brockton. They asked him about Vernon Brockton. Said Vernon Brockton's doing well. He's on. So we'll see Vernon Brockton healthy and see what he can do. 6'5", 300 pounds. Bo Davis, the defensive line coach, loved this kid. Think that he will be a big-time player for the Saints. And of course, you see the rest of it, like we said, here's Christian Miller, today's second round pick. He's already added to the fray. Smiling, all 6'4", 300 pounds, is there for the Saints. He'll be inside that 4-2-5 defense, that hybrid defense the Saints like to run with this guy, Brian Bresee, who got his option picked up. So he's happy. Eventually, the Saints will work on a long-term arrangement to get him locked in. And then, of course, we see our edge guys like Carl Granderson, 6 sacks last year for the Saints. He got to kind of get some help. Getting some more of these defensive line guys here that can command double teams could make it a lot easier on guys like Carl Granderson and Chase Young, who was second on the team in sacks. Cam at 10.5. Chase had 10 and missed the whole month of football. He was balling. So it's different things. You can see we're still not done fixing up the defense. You can see Christian Miller there added to the defense as well. And, of course, there are still other places to go. You see Caden Ellis was a guy the Saints did bring back. He was originally drafted by the Saints in the 7th round several years back to go along with Pete Werner. We'll see what else the Saints add. And, of course, if you look at our secondary, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Quincy Riley is there. And then the safeties, Justin Reed, Blackman is listed here, even though I think that's supposed to be Jonas Sanker. And you can obviously see Jordan Howden at the nickel position, which is strange. This is unofficial, by the way. But it's strange to see them have him. He's listed as a safety, but they got him playing at the cornerback position, something that we rarely don't see him play. But is this a plan? And the reason why the Saints are not taking that particular cornerback that we think they should take is Jordan Howden playing at that spot, the nickelback position, something of reality? You see what I'm saying? Is that something they're actually thinking about? Or perhaps somebody else like Sanker? We'll see what it is once the draft is completed. We'll have more of a clear idea tomorrow. And by Sunday, man, by Saturday night going into Sunday, we're going to have a very good look at our Saints. You can see even our special teams did good. We got Ryan Wright from Minnesota. He's our new punter. He signed a 4-year deal, averages 50 yards a punt. Y'all see that? Look at that. 49 yards a punt. That's crazy work. Longest punt was a 77-yarder. They drug tested that man when he kicked his punt. He put 25 in the 10. That's tied for 11. But we have a serious punter. We are not going through musical chairs even with the punter anymore. And Charlie Smith is a guy the Saints gave a 4-year deal to. He was phenomenal. 49 points for Charlie, 79% kicking in his first year. And Charlie is growing into something interesting. So the Saints are also going to bring some competition in for Charlie Smith. But nonetheless, I think they already did, if I'm not mistaken. He should be listed in here somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. Should be place kicker. No, he's not on that. But anyway, regardless or not, there'll be competition as we get into training camp. But nonetheless, y'all see what I'm saying? You can see the priority of the offense to get Tyler Shuck as many weapons as he possibly can. How old is Tyler right now? He's 26 years old. He turns 27th in 9/28. So, yeah. So later on this year, he'll turn 27 years of age. So you can see the Saints got a certain amount of time. Like they got an expedited window to get this done. Like, why are we waiting? Let's just go ahead on out. We got the money. Let's just focus on out. Let's just go ahead and ham it on out. Let's get Tyler the weapons and just and take possession. We don't live in a division that is that's just, we got some juggernauts to beat. We actually got a division where a team backed into the NFC South crown. They backed into the playoffs rather. So, we swept the team that won the division. So that should give you even more happiness there as Tampa Bay's kind of falling off. We see Atlanta being Atlanta, just doing Atlanta things. Falcons going Falcon. But the truth of the matter is that the Saints have big visions and dreams. And it starts with the NFC South. So that'll be fun watching that. All right. So anyway, y'all see what I'm saying? But we still got a whole day of drafting left for us tomorrow. And man, let me tell you something, man. We gonna just have to see how it goes, babies.
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the WhoDatDaily.com, your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.